The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
On Edu Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Mr. Familoni, and here's to VOPTV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti and you're watching VOPTV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOPTV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Are you ready for the... Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOPTV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOPTV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOPTV. Now you have more than a voice. World where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest. It's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand.
All right, it's the quarterfinals of the African Cup of Nations in Morocco 2025. Yes, it is eating up. The round of 16 has been done. and dusted. And of course, the men have been separated from the boys, and it's now all men up against each other. 8 of the top 10 teams in Africa as of December 2025. Of course, they will be doing battle, of course, in the quarterfinals right there in Morocco. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria, of course, are in action up against the Desert Foxes of Algeria. Yes, they are to, dig in deep up against the DRC, the Leopards of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they won that game 1-0 to set up a quarter-final clash against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and that will be happening on Saturday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Good morning and welcome to your show Sports Republic, and I am Afiz Ogubanjo. Yes, I'll be your host this morning. And of course, yes, we have a lot to talk about. You know how we do it on the show this every day. Of course, every day, Monday to Friday. You know how we do it on this show for the next 15 minutes thereabouts. We give you the juiciest stories from the world of sports. And of course, I want to say welcome on board as we go on to give you the best of stories. And before we do that, yes, let us tell you that you can also follow us on all our social media handles. And of course, on YouTube, we are on Voice of People TV, and of course, VOP TV Plus. You can like, comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel, and turn up the notification bell so that you won't miss any of the exciting episodes on our show Sports Republic, and also other shows we give you right there on those platforms. And yes, where can we start but the AFCON? The Super Eagles of Nigeria ready to face the Desert Foxes of Algeria. Yes, it's up against Riyad Mahrez. Yes, 2019 all over again. But in camp, this that we've been avoiding over the years is big 2026, and it is shocking to say this is happening again. And it's about the unpaid dues, the NSC, the NFF. What is going on? The players are threatening to boycott the game again. This is not what we should be seeing. We saw this during the World Cup qualifier. All led to the William Troost-Ekong story and all of that. Right now, the Super Eagles are facing a potential crisis ahead of their AFCON 2025 quarter-final match against Algeria. The Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has confirmed that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has begun processing the payment of allowances owed to the players and team officials, with funds set to be paid directly into their individual bank accounts. And this development comes after reports of unrest within the squad, with players threatening to boycott their match against Algeria over delays in payments of their entitlements. And this is not something we should be seeing right now, especially in a tournament of this magnitude. This is the AFCON. We saw what happened during the World Cup qualifiers. Ultimately, the Super Eagles lost that World Cup tickets. Yes, and maybe potentially to Congo, because they still have to play, the Intercontinental Playoffs. But yes, we can say ultimately Nigeria is not going to the World Cup in 2026 this year. And we saw what happened with the bonuses, the training bonuses, the dues players have been owed. And it's even sad to know that 4 months running, the Super Eagles coach himself, Eric Sekuchel, is also being owed by the NFF. I mean, this is 2026. This is not the story we should be hearing at this point in time. Yes, the World Cup, I expected this story should have been dead and buried with the World Cup qualifiers. Now it's rearing its ugly head again. And the Super Eagles are now threatening to boycott the quarter-final game. This is a game that you have to play in order to go on to win the tournament, so that you can get on the good books of Nigerians. And now you are saying you want to boycott that one. And of course, all calls have been made to the NFF, and now they are now coming out to say, look, that they are going to pay into the bank accounts of the players directly. I mean, what if this noise is not being raised? What if this dust is not being raised? Is it going to go down again just like that? I mean, you can't keep doing this. The money, I'm sure, has been disbursed, and the players are not getting their due diligence. This is really poor on the side of the NFL. According to journalists, for Toby Adepoju, he said the NFL official said the monies have been processed from CBN to individual banks, and the players and officials will receive all their bonuses when the process is completed. And also we have other journalists coming out. They reported also that the Super Eagles are threatening to boycott their AFCON 2025 quarterfinal match against Algeria. Over unpaid allowances, with win bonuses from 4 matches against Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, and Mozambique still outstanding. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they won all these games. I can say against all odds, because going into the tournament, most Nigerians were not even upbeat. They were not excited, because you don't know the kind of Super Eagles that will turn up. Now these boys came in, they grabbed the games by the scruff of their necks, and they won all 4. None of these games, in fact, even the Mozambique game did not even go to extra time. They won this game 4-0 convincingly. Tunisia was supposed to be the toughest match for them. They won, I won't say convincingly, but they were leading 3-0 at some point until the inconsistencies at the back also came up again. Tanzania, they won that one. It wasn't impressive, but they got the win. Uganda, even with a B side, you can call it a B team, they still went on to win that game. I was expecting all these win bonuses should have been paid immediately after these games, so that situations like this would not happen. But unfortunately, the NFF, they choose to always give us something to talk about, and yet we are going to definitely talk about them. They have to pay those fees. And if the Super Eagles at this time around, I know they are going to cause like a mixed reaction. So people will say, hey, why would you go on to boycott such a game? Why would you want to threaten the NFF? This is not about threatening the NFF. This is about you doing what you should do. This is about taking accountability. This is about trying to raise your integrity. And the NFF, they've had a long history of not doing this. They have to do this time around, because all hopes of Nigerians are now on the Super Eagles. They are getting more attention than even ever before. Some are even saying that they are the best set of players, to ever wear the green jersey of the Super Eagles. And of course, that one is up for debate, because these couple of players have not done what some players have done in the past. I mean, representing the World Cup in 1994, the 1996 Olympics, even this AFCON 2013, yes, those players that won it in 2013, they still have something, to brag about when it comes to legacy. But I'm sure these players can go all the way, because they've shown that in the first 4 games, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, and Mozambique. Look at that Mozambique game, for example. In fact, they shouldn't even tell you, as they are playing those games, just ready their fees and pay them. But the NFF, I mean, I'm sure they are going to do this one this time around. And Super Eagles, yes, they had a perfect run in the group stage, recording victories 2-1 up against Tanzania, yes, 3-2 over Tunisia, and 3-1 against Uganda, before delivering an emphatic 4-0 win over Mozambique in the round of 16 clash. And they are set to now face Algeria in the quarterfinal showdown. This one, arguably, is the match of the round for me. And the Super Eagles up against Algeria. Algeria themselves, they were also perfect in the group stage. The only 2 teams in this tournament so far that were perfect in the group stage. 9 points from possible 9, 3 games played, 3 games won. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they scored 12 goals and conceded 4 only. I mean, come on, this shouldn't be happening. And the NFF, they should do better. And yes, they are set for that quarterfinal showdown scheduled for Saturday, January 10th, 2026 in Marrakesh, and with a coveted semi-final berth at stake. And the NFF, they reportedly approved a lucrative bonus structure for the players, with each player earning a substantial payout if they lift the Continental Trophy in Morocco. I find this one a bit funny, because you are saying they are going to get a bonus, they are going to get a payout if they lift the trophy. The win bonuses for each games played, have you paid? That's the question. You haven't paid that one. You are already promising them a payout if they lift the trophy. This is not about, I know you are trying to motivate them to go on and win the title, but are you ready to pay the fees? For each game played, the first game against Tanzania, the second game against Tunisia, the third game, the group stage bonuses should have even been sorted before going into that game against Mozambique. But the NFF, like I said, they choose to give us, a script to write, and the bonus package is seen as a strategic motivation move by the NFF, aimed at boosting morale, rewarding discipline, and driving performance as the team navigates the tournament's toughest phase. Well, it's good to see how this is actually going on, because you are aiming to boost morale, but you are not paying the match bonuses of each single game that should have paid. 4 games hanging, and you still want them to give you the 100% and go on and win the tournament. Just at the end of the day, they will win that tournament, and you will still owe them, because this is not as if it's something you haven't done before. Of course, players even from generations past are still complaining. We saw what happened with the late Peter Rufai, the likes of Taribo West, Joseph Yobo, Austin Okocha, people complaining about monies that have gone. Mikel Obi also coming out to talk about how he personally settled stuff. I mean, this, if you don't know the NFF, this is actually like putting a stain on our white linen when it comes to Nigerian football, and you should do better. This should not be happening at the AFCON. We have enjoyed this AFCON tournament so far. We don't want to be seeing anything like this. We want to see results. We want to see the Super Eagles of Nigeria tackle Algeria and, you know, get the results, get to the semi-finals. Whoever comes in the semi-finals, whether it's Cameroon or Morocco, get the better of that team. Go on to win the trophy and, you know, bring smiles to the faces of Nigerians. And trust me, I'm going to say this again. If you want to get on the good books of Nigerians, they have to win this AFCON. Nothing short of that. They just have to win this Cup of Nations. They got to the final at the last edition, right there in Cote d'Ivoire. They lost in the final to Cote d'Ivoire. If we are facing the host again, of which we won't get to face the host in the finals this time, because they are in the same parts, they are in the same bracket, potentially in the semi-finals. Go on to be the hosts. Go on to the final and win it. And of course, I'm sure the Nigerians maybe will be willing, to forgive you for not making it to the World Cup altogether. And wait, let's move on from that one, and let's go on to still sticking with the Super Eagles, still sticking with the NFF. This time around, they've come out to downplay reports of a rift in the Super Eagles camp following an on-field altercation between Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman during Nigeria's 4-0 win over Mozambique. And the incident, which occurred shortly after the hour mark, saw Osimhen confront Lookman over a perceived failure to pass the ball in a scoring position. However, team administrator Dayo Enebi stated that the issue has been resolved internally, saying there is no problem whatsoever in our camp. And whatever people saw as a crisis between the two brothers was easily resolved as a couple of hours later, all is good. And Lookman, who was named man of the match, dismissed suggestions of a rift, and Super Eagles media officer Promise Efoge also dismissed reports that Osimhen threatened to leave the team's camp. Despite official assurances, several ex-internationals and football stakeholders have expressed different views on Osimhen's conduct, with some calling for him to be dropped from the starting lineup ahead of Nigeria's quarter-final clash against Algeria. I mean, in this Osimhen story, a lot of theories, a lot has been said. We all saw that incident. I personally also said that there's no way in the world where you have to, smack your captains, and you don't do that. And he went on to meet Ademola Lookman, pointing his finger, saying it's a team game and all of that. This was a player that has already assisted you in that game. Ademola Lookman, we've seen so far in this tournament as a selfless player. That is why he has 7 goal contributions in just 3 games. He didn't play the game against Uganda. In the game against Tanzania, he was there. In the game against Tunisia, 2 assists in that game, 1, including 1 for Victor Osimhen himself. The 3 goals that Victor Osimhen has scored at this tournament have come from chances created by Ademola Lookman. So I don't know why that should be going on. Bruno Emechi was originally the one who should have given Osimhen that pass, but it didn't happen. He chose to take a shot. Then Victor Osimhen he sparked up a little bit, and Ademola Lookman, while trying to calm him down, Victor Osimhen came back and pointed his fingers, walked off the pitch, asked to be substituted, didn't join the team in the team prayers after the game, left the dressing room early. Personally, for me, that is unacceptable. That is really, really unacceptable, and you don't do that. As a professional footballer, you don't do that. And yes, should he be dropped? That's the main question right now. Should he be dropped against Algeria? It's a crunch quarter-final game. Yes, let me say this is good news for the NFF and the media officer to also come out and say that it's been buried. But an official apology, an official statement should come from Victor Osimhen. We don't want this. This is like a form of distraction. I mean, we mentioned the unpaid dues, the unpaid allowances, the unpaid bonuses, and also this one, on field and off the field. The Super Eagles are now beginning to have issues, and they have a crunch quarter-final game in Saturday. This should not be happening. And yes, like I said, this is a major distraction, and I'm glad that the NFF have come out to squash it. And hopefully, the Super Eagles will also get this one behind them and, move on with the good vibes, the good energy, and go on to play Algeria and get the better of them. There's a lot of questions also raised as about, how the players will feel this time around. Should Osimhen start? Because there will be times when Ademola Lookman will be true on goal. He will have a chance. he will see Victor Osimhen. Should he pass the ball or should he go himself? Well, I'm sure Eric Chell and his team members, they will definitely address that one. And yes, we want to see Victor Osimhen on the pitch, because you know when Victor Osimhen is on the pitch, the centre backs of the opponents don't get to rest. And yes, he has shown that one in this AFCON so far with 3 goals, and Ademola Lookman also getting 4 assists and also 3 goals himself. And yes, that game against Algeria is going to be a very, very tough one. And Super Eagles, yes, they face Algeria, who edged DR Congo 1-0 after extra time, and they'll be facing them on Saturday in Marrakesh. And former Nigeria winger Garba Lawal has urged the team to remain focused on the task ahead, saying, no matter what happens, we must remember that there is another game ahead of us and stay focused. And of course, a lot of people have also come out to say, Osimhen should not start, Osimhen should start, Osimhen. Nah, I feel like they should settle it, just like they've reported. They should settle it, and we want to see Victor Osimhen all guns blazing when it comes to that game up against Algeria. We'll take a short break quickly, and when we come back, we'll continue with the stories we have for you on Sports Republic. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
All right, you're welcome back, and still your show Sports Republic, and we are still talking AFCON and CAF this time around. Yes, the Confederation of African Football, they've appointed a Somali referee, Omar Altan, to officiate the Africa Cup of Nations. Yes, a quarter-final match between Nigeria and Algeria on Saturday. Altan, a respected referee on the continent, was selected for the 2026 FIFA World Cup and previously handled the Algeria versus Mauritania group clash at the 2023 AFCON. Nigeria, led by Franco Mali and Eric Sekuchel, secured their spot in the quarterfinals with a 4-0 win over Mozambique, while Algeria defeated DR Congo 1-0 in extra time thanks to Adil Boubina's 118th minute strike. And the encounter will be a repeat of the 2019 AFCON semi-final, where Algeria won 2-1 courtesy of Riyad Mahrez's late free kick. And the match is set to kick off at 5 p.m. Nigerian time at the Stade de Marrakech in Marrakech, as a historical advantage, having won their previous encounters, including that 2019 AFCON semi-final, and they ultimately went on to win that one. And since then, they haven't qualified from the group stages. So sad for Algeria. But this time around, they were perfect in the group stage, and they are facing the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Nigeria, however, they are in top form, having won all 4 matches and scored 12 goals in the tournament. Omar Atan, good one for him, the Somali referee, recently named the best referee in Africa. Of course, he was the CAF referee of the year during the CAF Awards. And yes, for the men, that was Omar Atan. Good one for the Somalian. But Algerians will be looking at him with, let me say, one side eye because of what happened in 2023 up against Mauritania, where he placed his hand on an Algerian player. But I'm sure that one is by the way right now. And Omar Atan, yes, that's him on your screen right there. He's a man for the big games, and of course Nigeria up against Algeria is a big game, of course, in the quarterfinals, and we would love to see what Omar Atan will be ready to do, because that game, trust me, there will be fireworks. It's attack up against attack, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they will not want to hold anything back, because I'm sure their eyes are set on that trophy. And the Algerians also coming into the AFCON, I could say that they were the ones that were they were less fancied amongst the big boys. That's talking about Algeria. Nobody really fancied them. People were talking about, Ivory Coast, the defending champions, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and all of that. No one was mentioning Algeria. But trust me, they have lit up this tournament. Riyad Mahrez, he has 3 goals to his name. Ibrahim Maza, I'll be talking about him, very soon. Ibrahim Maza, the Leverkusen man, has done really well as well. Anis Haj Musa, and that's goal. Also, if they can't, sort it up, with the players that are starting the game, they have people on the bench they can call on, and we saw that one. They proved it up against the DRC, where Adil Bubina came off the bench, and that was a stunner. That was a game worthy to win any round of 16 clash. And of course, they are going on to face the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the 2 spotless teams right there in the AFCON. They are going on to face each other. These are games that should be happening in the semi-final or even in the final. But, of course, this AFCON has saved us everything, and we are seeing a game of this magnitude in the quarterfinal. Good one to whet our appetite. And we are still sticking with AFCON. This time around, we are going to take an expansive view of the round of 16 games. Of course, let's look at the results of the round of 16 games. Let's give you the preview. And before we go into the quarterfinals, the results from the round of 16 right there. Senegal up against Sudan. Before I came on here, a friend of mine challenged me, and he said I should mention, all goal scorers. And I'm like, let me see if we can try to do that. Senegal up against Sudan. Of course, Sudan took the lead through Ahmed Abdallah, and Senegal, their quality shown that one. Sudan were almost, heading for an upset, but Senegal, they buried that one in the first half, and went on to increase their lead in the second half. 2 goals from Papi Gueye, the Villarreal man, and a goal from one of the, let me say, young players of the tournament so far, Ibrahim Mbaye. I appreciate the fact that he just switched up to Senegal. He's a French youngster. He was born in France, but he switched up to say he wants to represent Senegal right here in the AFCON, and also in the World Cup as well. Hopefully, we are going to see the 17-year-old PSG player Ibrahim Mbaye. He scored a goal, and Senegal won that game ultimately 3-1 to book a quarterfinal spot against their opponents, which will be Mali. Of course, Mali, they got a red card up against Tunisia right there. Tunisia took the lead. Mali got the red card in the 25th minute, but Tunisia took the lead in the 87th minute through Faris Shawat. Of course, Firas Shawat. Yes, that's the man, the CS Faxian man. But Mali, they got the goal back, a penalty in the 90th minute through Lassine Sinayoko, and he plays for Auxerre. Lassine Sinayoko, interestingly, Mali have scored 3 goals in this tournament. They are the draw kings of this tournament. That's talking about Mali. They are the draw kings. They've played 4 games. 4 draws after 90 minutes, and including that game up against Tunisia. They have scored 3 goals in the tournament, and the 3 goals have been scored by one man, Lassine Sinayoko. Lassine Sinayoko, he scored in the first game against Zambia, scored up against the host Morocco, and also scored in that game against Tunisia. He's their Mr. Dependable from the sports. He has 5 goals right now from 2 AFCON tournaments. That's talking about Lassine Sinayoko. And Morocco as well, the hosts, they defeated Tanzania. Tanzania also almost gave an upset, but ultimately the host came through, and is the man who people are saying, many are believing is the player of the tournament, but I think that should go to Ademola Lookman. Brahim Diaz of Real Madrid, he got the goal for them. 4 games right now at this AFCON, and he has scored 4 goals the first Moroccan player to do that one. Beautiful for Brahim Diaz. And South Africa, they lost to Cameroon. That game, I mean, South Africa, for me, they had everything to defeat the Cameroonians, but ultimately they lost that game. But Cameroon, of course, Junior Chamadu, he scored the first goal, and the lead was doubled by Christian Kofani, also one of the young stars of this tournament also so far. Christian Kofani, he got the second goal, but South Africa pulled one back through Evidence Magokpa, yes, who plays for Orlando Pirates, and Cameroon are going on to face Morocco right there. Egypt, yes, they played Benin Republic. Of course, Egypt, they took the lead through Ayman Atia. Fantastic goal. I mean, bullseye from way out. Fantastic goal for him there. But Benin Republic equalized through Jodel Dosu, and it was 1-1 heading into extra time. But Egypt's Yasser Ibrahim, he scored a header to make it 2-1. Then the legend himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mohamed Salah, of course, he got the goal to make it 3-1 and put a gloss on that one. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, yes, they just dispatched the Mozambique team, the likes of Jenny Katamo and all of that. The Super Eagles, of course, we saw goals from Ademola Lookman, 2 goals from Victor Osimhen, and 1 goal from Sevilla man Akko Adams. And Algeria as well, defeated DR Congo with the goal from Adil Bobina, yes, in the 119th minute. That goal must have hurt. And there's a particular fan, the DR Congo fan, who will stand for 90 minutes. He will stand for 90 minutes. All their games at this AFCON, he stood for 90 minutes. But this time around, he had to go and, sit down. And Mohamed Amoura, he did something where he went to meet the fan. He showed him, how he was standing. Then he went on to sleep. But he has gone on to apologize, saying he didn't mean for any of that to happen. That, it's just during the heat of the moment. And Cote d'Ivoire, the defending champions, of course, they made light work of Burkina Faso. They are border brothers because they are like siblings. They share the same border, and of course, Cote d'Ivoire, ultimately showing who the bigger man was, who the bigger brother was. Of course, right there, defeating Burkina Faso. And interestingly, Cote d'Ivoire's goalkeeper, Alban Lafont, yes, he was born in Burkina Faso, formerly French youth goalkeeper, also switched allegiance to Cote d'Ivoire. And yes, the likes of the Dango Ouattaras, they have about 8 players in the Burkina Faso team that were born in Cote d'Ivoire. So there are many players out there. It's about like 2 siblings, playing, but the bigger brother was shown there by Ivory Coast. 3-0, they won that game. Amad Diallo with a goal and an assist. He got the first goal. He assisted the second goal for Jan Diomande, who plays for RB Leipzig, and the third goal from Bazoumana Touré. Yes, right there for Cote d'Ivoire. And the quarterfinal is all set. Yes, and the African Cup of Nations has shown up some exciting storylines. We are seeing players that will be shining in the quarterfinals. But before we bring you those players, let's look at the expansive map right there in the round of 16 and, of course, in the quarterfinals. So we will be seeing teams that will be facing each other right there in the quarterfinals. It's been a fantastic one at the AFCON so far. And let's look at the new faces that will be shining in the quarterfinals. Brahim Diaz is one. Okay, look at the quarterfinalists right there. Senegal, right there. We have Idrissa Gueye. Mali, that's the man I was talking about earlier. Lassine Sinayoko. He's been Mr. Mali, this tournament so far. Morocco, Brahim Diaz, of course, right there. Egypt, I know a lot of people will be expecting Mohamed Salah to be on that one, but they've been represented right there by Manchester City's Omar Marmoush. You could see Amad Diallo just beneath him right there. Algeria, that's Mohamed Amoura. And of course, Nigeria's captain, Wilfred Onyiye Ndidi. And Cameroon's own Carlos Baliba, who plays for Brighton. Good one. I mean, top 8 teams. Let me say, out of the top 10, not the top 8 teams, not the top 8, but 8 teams out of the top 10, in the African rankings. From the FIFA rankings, we could see them. Best 8 teams in Africa, they are going up against each other. A lot of people are saying they should be upset and all of that, but look, this AFCON has shown that the big boys have come to the party. They are not here to play. And Mali might be the less fancied, but they are in top 10 in Africa for a reason. And they are playing Senegal. That one is going to be tough. Morocco will be playing Cameroon. Egypt will be playing Cote d'Ivoire. And Nigeria will be playing Algeria. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And now, let's look at these players. We are seeing 5 new faces that will be shining in the quarterfinals. Brahim Diaz of Morocco is number 1. That man, 4 games, 4 goals. Yes, the first Moroccan to get that record. He scored in his first 3 games. The second Moroccan after Ahmed Yassar in 1976 to do that one. Good one for Brahim Diaz, the Real Madrid man. He hasn't, really had the chance to play under Xabi Alonso so much this season, but he has been instrumental in Morocco's campaign, scoring in every game, including the crucial strike to beat Tanzania in the last 16. We also have Christian Kofane. Yes, he's 19 and he plays for Bayer Leverkusen. He has impressed for Cameroon. He has scored 2 goals in 3 starts, and both goals are match winners. I must say, let me say, thumbs up and big ups for Christian Kofane. He has really done so well for himself. And yes, Eta Eyong was the one who started for Cameroon, up front. But since Kofane stepped up, he has been scoring the winners. He scored that one up against Mozambique, and he also scored against South Africa to put them in the quarterfinal. That's the man right there, Christian Kofane, 19 years of age, plays for Bayer Leverkusen. And I must say, Bayer Leverkusen's manager will be saying, good one. He has also scored 5 goals in 10 starts for the German club this season. Good one for Christian Kofane right there, the 19-year-old. Let's move on now and let's talk about Ibrahim Mbaye as well. 17, I spoke about him earlier, 17-year-old PSG winger. Yes, he has made a significant impact for Senegal, setting up goals and also scoring against Sudan. Good one for Ibrahim Mbaye right there. He's 17. Yes, you have him right there on your screen. 17-year-old, came up, born in France, representing Paris Saint-Germain. But he said, I want to play for Senegal. Not after they've qualified, for the World Cup. He says, okay, now I want to go and play. They asked him, will you play for us? And he said, oh, I will play. He's just 17. And yes, he has asked questions saying, Ismail Assar, I'm coming for your place. Because he's a right winger. He can also play on the left wing. He's saying, Sadio Mane, Ismail Assar, I'm coming for your place. And with the opportunity he has had so far this AFCON, he has done really, really well. Took his goal beautifully in that game against Sudan, and he got a good goal for himself. But also we have Maradona himself, Ibrahim Maza, another Bayer Leverkusen player. He plays for Algeria this time around, Ibrahim Maza. People have been saying it's going to be all about Riyad Mahrez, but Ibrahim Maza has stepped up. For me, if he doesn't win player of the tournament, he should definitely be winning young player, because he has done really, really well. He has thrilled Algeria fans with his attacking prowess. Yes, you have him right there, Ibrahim Maza, young player, also plays for Leverkusen. Leverkusen boys are showing themselves in this AFCON, and it's a good one, both for the German club and also for Africa. And yes, he has thrilled Algeria fans with his attacking prowess, scoring in their opening win against Sudan and starting every game since. Yes, a lot of people will be saying that's sport, because they're attacking midfielder. They are saying that spot should be given to Fares Shaibi, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. But Ibrahim Maza has stepped up, and Algeria, they have a wealth of good young players. Anis Ajmusa, who also plays for Feyenoord, is there. Zerouki, who plays for Feyenoord, is also there. I mean, we have the likes of Icham Boudaoui, good players. Riyad Mahrez is just happy, taking the auxiliary role. But good one ultimately. And their opponents, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, yes, the opponents in the quarterfinals. We also have somebody who has also lit up this AFCON. Maybe not getting all the goals. He's a striker. Maybe not getting all the goals, but he's playing, in a 2-striker formation, 2-striker tactic, and he's, either assisting or scoring. And that's talking about none other than Akol Jerome Adams, the Sevilla striker. For me, a lot of people are saying that he is like the revelation of the tournament, but I would say maybe the likes of Amad Diallo, Ibrahim Maza, and Christian Kofane. But trust me, if he goes on to have a beautiful game against Algeria, maybe scoring goals and assisting, trust me, he is in that conversation. That's talking about Akol Jerome Adams. And he also, left camp to go visit his sick mom, but he's back, and I'm sure he's ready to fire on in that game up against Algeria. That's the man right there, Akol Jerome Adams. He was criticized in that game against Tanzania. People saying his impact was not felt, but I'm sure he took that one in his stride, and he went on, to deliver excellent performances in that game against Mozambique in particular. Took his goal beautifully, and also dedicated that goal to his mother. Good one for Sevilla striker Akol Jerome Adams. He has also made his presence felt, and he scored on his debut, and also playing a starring role in the 4-0 demolition of Mozambique. These young guns are giving their teams a fresh perspective, and it's shaping up to be an exciting tournament. And the quarterfinals are just around the corner with Nigeria. Yes, they will be in action up against Algeria in Marrakesh. Before I move on, I want to also give a shout out to a certain Alban Lafont. Yes, the goalkeeper for Ivory Coast. Currently keeps for Panathinaikos. Yes, right there in Greece. Fantastic tournament he's also had. he also switched nationality. That's the man right there, Alban Lafont. At some point, he was the best young goalkeeper in French football. Right now, that would be Guillaume Rest, who plays for Toulouse. But right now, yes, Alban Lafont, he now plays for the Ivory Coast. He has done really well. For me, I think he's the only one that will rival Edouard Mendy of Senegal to be the best goalkeeper at this tournament. People are saying Yasin Bono, but for me, Yasin Bono has really been tested. Even Stanley Wabali, I know Nigeria have conceded 4 goals. Lucas Zidane is also one, in conversation. That's the Algerian goalkeeper. But trust me, Alban Lafont, he has been making fantastic saves. Edouard Mendy, but yes, just like my producer sounded in my ear right there. Lucas Zidane, the son of the legendary Zinedine Zidane himself, of course, is also in that conversation. And trust me, he's also one to be the revelation of the tournament. And moving on from AFCON and all of that, let's talk about Barcelona. Quickly, the Supercopa happened, the semi-final, one of the semi-finals happened last night, and Barcelona, they showed no mercy up against Athletic Club Bilbao right there in Saudi Arabia, because Barcelona secured the spot in the Spanish Super Cup final with a dominant 5-0 win over Athletic Club in Saudi Arabia. Rafinha scored twice, while Ferran Torres or Fermin Lopez who got 2 goals, and also Rooney Bakji who also got a goal for himself. Hansi Flick's team have now won 9 consecutive matches across all competitions, and the match was a one-sided affair with Barcelona scoring 4 goals in the first half. Torres opened the scoring after 22 minutes, and the Fermin also, and as well we also have likes of Rooney Bakji, who has been struggling for minutes, but I won't blame him, because a certain Lamine Yamal is the one that is competing with on that right wing. And of course, you know, when Lamine Yamal is fully fit, is the one that will be getting that starting shares. And Rafinha sealed the win with a fair shot into the top left corner. For me, they did that man a great disservice when he was named 5th in the Ballon d'Or rankings. Of course, he was the best player for Barcelona last season, without a doubt. He's been injured, for most of the beginning of this season, but he's back and he's fit and firing, and he did that one up against Athletic Club. And they will be waiting for either of the Madrid clubs, that's talking about Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, because they will be in action in the other semi-final. And Athletic Bilbao, they had a miserable night with goalkeeper Unai Simon making a costly mistake that led to Barcelona's 3rd goal. And the Basque side's best chance came when Oyan Sanset hit the post, but it wasn't enough to change the outcome. And Barcelona, like I said, will face either Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid in Sunday's final, and the team is looking to defend its Spanish Super Cup title, having won it last season. Good one for Barcelona, good one for Marcus Rashford also, having his debut in that Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. Should they make it to the final, they will have it tough up against the Football Club Barcelona, the Blaugrana themselves. Also, we saw action in the Premier League, and this time around, it is eating up in the Premier League. Let's take a look at the Premier League results. Good games went down last week, and today we are going to be seeing Arsenal up against Liverpool. But before we talk about Arsenal and Liverpool, let's give you the results from the Premier League match week 21 fixtures. Man City were in action. Manchester United were in action as well. The first game for Darren Fletcher. Also, we have likes of Chelsea that were also in action. Yes, as the table stands, Arsenal, they are leading with 48 points right now because they have a game in hand. But let's look at the results. Quickly, let's look at the result. Manchester City, they are now floundering in the title race. At home, up against Brighton, Erling Haaland got a goal, but an equalizer came from Kaori Mitoma, and it was 1-1. And now Arsenal have the advantage because they will be in action up against Liverpool today at home. Fulham, yes, up against up against Chelsea. Right there. Chelsea, they are not beating the allegations. They got another red card again this time around. That was silly for Marco Cucurella, by the way. And also, Callum McFarlane, that should be his final match for Chelsea as caretaker manager, because Liam Rosinho, he was there, he was watching that game, and of course he will be taking over the Chelsea team very, very soon. Fulham won that game 2-1, and yes, that goal, the winner was given by Harry Wilson, and it ended 2-1 in favor of Fulham. Everton, yes, they also got red carded too, for that matter, up against Wolves. And yes, Michael Keane got the goal for Everton, but Matheus Mane, who has been doing well for himself, 2 goals now in 2 games for the youngster. Also, another team perceived to be a title challenger, Aston Villa. Yes, they also floundered because they drew 0-0 at Selhurst Park up against Crystal Palace. Bournemouth, Wow, this one was the story of the night for me. Bournemouth up against Tottenham. Yes, in Antoine Semenyo's last game for Bournemouth before he gets the deal done with Manchester City. Yes, the Ghanaian, yes, is moving for 65 million to Manchester City, but he got the winning goal, late goal. His last touch for Bournemouth was a winning goal. And of course, the Vitality Stadium, they were on their feet for the man. That's the man right there on your screen, Antoine Semenyo. He is joining Manchester City. And trust me, that goal up against Tottenham, good one for Bournemouth. In fact, you could see the Bournemouth fans, they were just very, very happy for him. And they were applauding him. And they are wishing him all the best when he goes to Manchester City. Let's look at other results right there in the Premier League. We also saw the likes of Brentford in action because they defeated Sunderland 3-0. Igor Thiago, that man right there, I'm sure those that are playing the Fantasy Premier League, the FPL, they will be very, very, very happy if you have him in your team. That's talking about Igor Thiago. He's now on 16 goals because he got a brace in that game up against Sunderland. He is really chasing Erling Haaland for that one. And I mentioned Antoine Semenyo being the story of the night. Let's look at Newcastle up against Leeds United. That game, this particular game was it was like a basketball game at some point. All end-to-end action. Leeds United, they took the lead. No pun intended. Leeds, the lead right there. Brandon Aronson getting the first goal. Newcastle equalized and they took the lead as well. But Leeds came back. They were leading at some point 3-2. Aronson scoring again. Then in the 90th minute, in fact, in additional time, they equalized right back. That's talking about Newcastle. And in 90 plus 12, that's talking about the 102nd minute, Newcastle got the winner from the person who scored the first goal for them. It was the one who came back to also score the last goal. Champions Doha taking on China's Liang Jinkun in the men's round of 32 clash. Hellno is looking to bounce back after missing out on the WTT Cup finals in 2025, and he will be competing for a share of the $500,000 prize purse. Arena has a competitive history with Jinkun, having defeated him at the 2021 WTT Cup finals, but losing 4-1 at the 2018 Korean Open. And their Doha clash will mark their third meeting, with both players eager to tilt the head-to-head record in their favor. And Africa's top female player, Anna Goda of Egypt, will also be in action, facing former world number 1 Zhu Yuling of Macau in our opening match. And Goda is aiming to upset the established order and secure crucial ranking points. Meanwhile, Egypt's Omar Assad, that's number 2 in Africa, he had a disappointing start to the year, losing 3-1 to Japan's Shunsuke Togami in the first round match. And despite this setback, Assad has signaled his intent to challenge the sports elite in 2026. Of course, that's our man Aruna Quadri. He missed the end of the year WTT Cup. He missed it in 2025, but he's aiming to be back. And of course, to wrap up, let's give you news from the NBA. The NBA 65-game rule is causing controversy among players and fans. And the rule, part of the player participation policy, requires players to participate in at least 65 games to be eligible for awards and honors. And this aims to discourage teams from load managing star players, but it's impacting players' legacies and award chances. Nikola Jokic, the Denver Nuggets star, is a prime example. He is leading the NBA in rebounds and assists, averaging 30 points per game. But a knee injury puts his MVP chances at risk. If he misses more than 17 games, he won't meet the eligibility threshold. And Jokic's injury highlights the rule's rigidity, with some arguing it should be scrapped. And the reaction to the rule is mixed. Yes, some, like Denver Nuggets coach Michael Malone, he supports it, saying it ensures star players are available for games. Others, like basketball journalist Grant Offset, believe it's too rigid and should be more flexible. And fans are also expressing frustration on social media, calling for the rule to be abolished. And the rules' impacts extend beyond Jokic, because players and teams are navigating 82-game season, balancing performance and injury prevention. And the NBA's decision to implement this rule reflects a broader debate about player workload and league competitiveness. Of course, let's see how this one is going to pan out in the NBA, because they have to, navigate 82 games in a season. But if they can get 65, it will improve their chances of winning awards at the end of the season. And with that, we'll be wrapping up. We'll be wrapping up business on the show this morning. It's been a wonderful ride. And of course, the midday news will be coming up next. And I'm saying, before we do that, let me say, it's been Sports Republic, and I am Afiz Ogubanjo, and I'm saying, have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye for now.